Hi there everyone, it's Natalie Casey and I wanted to do a training video on how to conduct your first planning meeting with your new team member. The reason for this is so that the duplicatable nature of the business starts to pass through all levels of the team, and that the important information is shared at the beginning, and also as well that your new team member has got a plan in place that exactly suits their wants and needs. On our team page, you will find in the files a document called the First Planning Meeting Checklist, and I'll just go through this now as a structure for what the planning meeting should look like. As you get more proficient, you might want to add things in or remove things, but these are the key things that I always go through with a new team member. Now, this first planning meeting should last about 2 hours. So originally I was sort of scheduled in an hour, but actually you just tend to then rattle through everything. So 2 hours you should set aside in your diary. And prior to the planning meeting, as soon as your new team member joins, you want to send them a welcome email, and hopefully you should all be in receipt of a welcome email and that it's kind of passed down through the team. But if you never have received one, then just drop me a message and I can send it to you. And contained in there is things about the different groups that they'll be added to on Facebook, the subscriptions they need to get together to start working on the who do you know list, and some useful telephone numbers, like for example distributor support, my phone number, etc. And the reason for this is that then when they come to the first planning meeting, they've started to do a bit of work. They've started to put together the who do you know list, so you can have a much more meaningful session. Then what I always do is I always send to my new team member a little card to say thank you. So a thank you card to say thanks for joining the team, and thanks for putting their faith in me as well as the business, and that I really, really appreciate it and I'm here for them. I also send them the Eric Worre GoPro. I get that for them as a gift from me. It's something that Angie did for me, and as soon as I put it on in the car, it kind of opened my eyes up to exactly what my new job description looked like. I found it personally invaluable. So that's what I do. So I send a thank you card, the Eric Worre GoPro, and I send a welcome email as well. And also as well a green scarf. And then get the planning meeting, the first planning meeting booked in 48 hours after they've had their box at the latest. So, you could do it the day their box arrives or the next day, but no longer than 48 hours. The reason for that is because we need to keep the momentum and the excitement. And we also don't want them sitting there with their box and not knowing what to do next, really. So it's it's your responsibility as the sponsor, and they've put their trust in you, and we need to get that arranged within 48 hours. So I'm going to go through the first planning meeting checklist now, and talk through each section and give you an idea about what the content needs to look like. So the first few questions are shaping their business, basically. What's their goals? So the first is, how much do you want to earn? How much time can you commit? What do you want to achieve from forever? 6 months, 12 months, and longer term. And then it goes on to dreams and goals. So the first three questions are fundamentally forming then the basics of what the business plan needs to look like. So how much do you want to earn is a monthly amount, and you need to be talking to your new team member about the potential of the business, because they might just think, oh, just a couple of £100. Now, if they're thinking a couple of £100 and they just want to retail, then that's fine, and you shape the business accordingly. But it might just be a couple of £100 because they haven't got the confidence or belief in themselves, or even in what's possible within forever. So just talk through, if they're coming up with quite a low figure, what's really, really possible. So how much do you want to earn? How much time to commit? And then what do you want to achieve from forever in 6 months, 12 months, and longer term? Now, I personally, this is something from me, I personally I'm more effective when I've got 6 months goals in place. You always need your longer term goals and things to work for. But for me, if I've got shorter term goals, 6 months flies by, and it's really, really rewarding to achieve those things. And for me, this is just the personal thing for me. But when I've got shorter term goals, it tends to motivate me much greater than a long-term goal that seems quite far away. So work to kind of try and define those, and whatever that looks like in terms of a goal, and whatever the financial amount that they'd like to earn, then match that to a position on the marketing plan. So whether it's manager, by 6 months or 5 months, then it turns into soaring manager after a year or 18 months or whatever that might be. So whatever their dreams and goals are, 6 months, 12 months and longer term, then match that to a position on the marketing plan. And then it's really something then to work towards. So you've got an aspiration, a dream, an amount of money to earn each month, alongside a time frame and a target of a position, and so that turns the sort of dream into a goal. And then the next section is around dreams and goals, and talking about getting the new team member to think about aiming high and setting big goals, and thinking about a future that looks quite different to what their reality is right now. I have to be really honest and say that I found this really difficult at first, because I've never ever done this. It was quite Americanized to me. I've never set big goals for me and my family. So when Andrew was saying to me, what would you do with £100,000 right now if I gave it to you? No sensible purchases. What would you do with it? I kind of felt put on the spot. So you need to, and Ange did the same with me. Is work that out of somebody and tease it out of them. Ask them questions. About them a bit. What they've got in terms of their family and life, etc. And start to tease it out of them. And I've put some questions in here to help that conversation, because sometimes this can be a bit dry, and I found that this can happen quite quick, this section. And actually, this is the most important bit, because this is what's going to get your team member an emotional connection to the business, and an emotional connection to what they're doing the business for. And that then creates a much more successful, driven and determined team member, because they are working towards something that ultimately stirs something inside, and you've helped them to define that. So there's some questions here, some sort of probing questions, which I found have been quite helpful to tease that out, particularly when this kind of conversation thread is a bit alien. So what would you do with £100,000? And it's not like, sensible purchases. It's not like things that you can, well, they can be sensible purchases. Sorry, I'm contradicting myself, but it's not where you can say, I would invest it in something, or I would do this. I mean, if you've got debts to pay off, or if you wanted to pay off the mortgage, or if you wanted to treat your family or something like that, then yeah, sure. But it's £100,000 to spend in a day. What would you spend it on? If I said new car, not just a new car, but what new car is it? The make, the model, the colour. Do you see where I'm coming from? It's not just saying, oh yeah, I'd have a new car. It's actually starting to visualise that car, and giving it actually defining what it is, what it looks like, rather than just a new car. So you start to get that kind of emotional connection and that excitement, because it is all truly, truly possible. Then here's another question, and I think this is really good. If you won the lottery, how would you spend your days? Because that's what the reality could look like in 5 years' time if you worked hard at your forever business. You could have a level of disposable income similar to a lottery win, and a lifestyle that is in accordance with that, in terms of working flexibly and very part-time hours. The reality would be 5 years' time, you'd just be doing exactly the same thing. So it's talking about, if you won the lottery, what would your day look like? And start to think about the time that you'd get up in the morning. If you've got kids, who'd be taking the children to school? For me, it would be me, because Jack goes to breakfast club, so it'd be wonderful to be able to actually take him to school. It's that kind of thing. And that's the thing, is to get across that this could be their lifestyle. Get them to think about what needs to change in their life. What is it that they lie awake at night thinking about? Is it debt? Is it pension? Is it what's going to happen with the parents in retirement? What might it be? Is it that they hate their job? What is it that worries them, troubles them, and affects their peace of mind? Then get them to think about all the things that they've talked about and said that they would like with the financial freedom that this business can provide. And I'm not just talking about all material things. You know, it's actually about the lifestyle and the standard of living that can come. What would it feel like to achieve it and start to get that excitement? And then ask the question, what would it feel like to not achieve it? And that is something for me that stirs me emotionally, to think that, you know, if I don't achieve what I aim to achieve, the reality is working the amount of hours I work and spending such infrequent time with my family, and that stirs me emotionally, and that's the feeling that kind of keeps me going and keeps me incredibly motivated. It's exciting to think how much our life is going to change, but what would it feel like if it didn't? And that's the thing that really, really gets me going. Whatever you want, forever can deliver. So in this section here, you need to be talking with a team member and saying, don't limit your thinking, dream big. And then number 5 is about the dream board. You need to have your own dream board done, because you cannot possibly coach what you haven't done yourself. So you need to do your own dream board, and then you need to be showing a picture of that dream board and sharing it with your team member and saying, this is what you need to do. And if they're married or they've got kids or family, then do the dream board as a family. And it's incredibly rewarding to do your dream board as a family, because then your goals and dreams are not just yours about the business, but they're your family's. And again, it's incredibly motivating. And I tell you what as well, I can speak from first-hand experience, it is the most rewarding feeling ever to achieve the things that are on your dream board. It really is. It's a feeling of pride and a feeling of achievement that that you have created these experiences, and your business has created these experiences. It's just so rewarding. And then not just to have the dream board. So it contains all of these things that you've talked about in the previous section. The picture of the car, and not just a car, but the make and model and colour, etc. It's then having that somewhere where you see it regularly, not stuck in a cupboard, and you start to then work with your team member and start to introduce them to visualisation and visualising their future looking that way. So how Ange described it to me was not just you've got your dream home, but what does it feel like to walk up the gravel and walk up the path and the gravel to crunch underneath your feet? When you approach the door, what does the door handle look like? What does it feel like to open the door and walk in? What do you see when you walk in? And it's kind of visualising that. So you need to then start to encourage your team member to then spend some time each day thinking about achieving these goals and actually visualising that as their reality. And the law of attraction starts to come in then, and the two start to merge. Angie's advice to me was to do this first thing in the morning and last thing at night. So as soon as you wake up in the morning, before you think about anything else, just visualise what your ultimate lifestyle looks like. And then also the same before you go to bed. So it's basically all you can think of throughout the day. And yeah, as I say, do the dream board and get the whole family to do it, because it's incredibly rewarding. Number 6, requirements for success. If people want to be successful in this business, they need to attend their business presentation, ideally weekly and ideally with a guest. I know in some locations they're not weekly, they are every 2 weeks. But in the weeks that they can't attend or they're not attending, they should be listening to the online BP. For a number of reasons. First of all, because it helps you to learn how to sell the business and the facts and figures, and you hear from all the people that have been doing this for a while that know how to articulate it effectively. Also, it's incredibly motivating. The panel of speakers changes every week, and so you get to hear lots of success stories in it. And also as well, you are then mixing with like-minded people, and you are getting reconnected back with the business on a weekly basis. I just find it incredibly motivating, and it's an absolute must if you want to be successful in this business. you need to be talking to them about the importance of attending success days and ensuring that they book the next one, but get their tickets for the next one, ideally for the rest of the year. But I know not everybody has the money at the very start, but certainly get them booked up for the next one. And also just go through the various training that's available. And the next section is training. So the requirements for success: attend the BP, attend success days, and just absorbing all of the training. Now, the next section, section 7, is training. And I personally found when I first started, it was incredibly overwhelming how much training there was. I would end up clicking onto one thing, then another thing, then another thing. And it just ended up that I just found it really all consuming, and I wanted to be the best, and I wanted to know everything straight away. And I just found that I was watching things, but I just wanted to get through it. I just wanted to get all of the training done. So what I've done here is kind of set it out as to what should be the priority. And so I'll run through that now. So this is the training for month 1 in this order. So on the 18 page, on Angie's page, the training on the pin post, particularly the Facebook training that Ange did at the Hawaii Global Rally. And also as well, there is a training video on the planning meeting checklist, a link to it from Emma Cooper. And it talks about how she built her Forever business via Facebook, and her Facebook tips too. So make sure that those are both watched first, then working through Angie's pin post. Then the training on our team page and the pin post on our team page. Then onto the QLS pods, and the priority QLS pods, training pods to work through are Jane Leach, Setting Goals, Natalie Healy, How to Build a 4 Grand Check, and then moving through the rest of the training pods, but focus on those 2 initially. And the other one is Juliana Wood's Contact Marketing. And then there are 3 training clips on Forever Knowledge, Why Are Aloe, the products in your future. And then going into the regional office training session. So wherever they're based locally, find out where their fit training is and all about aloe, supplement days, etc., etc. And also the A-team training academies too. Okay, number 8, becoming a manager. This obviously is a section that is not particularly relevant if your new team member only wants to retail. However, what I would say is at this section, still go through the 5-month to manager plan. Just quickly, just to talk through how duplication can create volume really, really quickly. Because it might be, and I've had a couple of team members that only started out wanting to retail, but when they saw this and saw the power of it, their head was turned. So I would always say go through the 5-month to manager plan at this stage. Explain to your new team member that it's the hardest part of the Forever journey, and that it's going to be tough. And I always talk about how when I got to manager, I have to be honest, I didn't really speak to my husband particularly much during those 3.5 months. Our house was a complete tip. And I lived, breathed, ate, drank and slept forever. That's all I did. Obviously I worked my day job, but around that and looking after Jack, my son, and getting him to bed. As soon as he was in bed, that's all I did every single night, and every single morning up super early. So you've got to get that mindset in place that that if they want it, it's time to sort of roll the sleeves up and get stuck in. So yeah, go through the 5-month to manager plan, and you should all know what that needs to look like. But don't ever have it printed out. Write it out there and then, each time, every time, so that they can see how simple it is, how easy it is, and how duplicatable it is. And it just keeps it fresh as well. And it's very descriptive as you're writing it out, rather than trying to rattle through it on a printout. And then start to talk through the steps to manage a book. But I actually use mine as a prompt, because I can show them that it is really a working document. And also as well, when you go through pages 2 and 3, you can see what my goals and dreams are and were, and the things that I've achieved. Oh, my can't get the camera lens right. And so this is mine, and I talk through this every time, so it's kind of a well thumbed copy. On the planning meeting checklist, there is certain pages that I've pulled out, and I'll just go through those now and tell you what I talk about at the planning meeting. So pages 2 and 3, it's their goals, long term and short term, based on personal, family and business, and get them to think about that and set some tasks. So each time you have a planning meeting, to be an effective coach, you need to kind of set tasks or homework, if you like, to make sure that it's done for the next time, and have this as a task to say, right, go away and work through this, and the next time we meet, let's have a look through what it is that we're working towards together. I then take them up straight to pages 13 and 14. So page 13 is our job description in a nutshell, and I just talk through that cycle. And just explain that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. This is what we do. This is what I do every single day. And it's what all the successful people in the business do. So I just talk through each and every segment and the type of activity that needs to happen. And then page 14. So this is the profiling sheets, and I use these for whenever I'm contacting anybody about the business, and then if they're interested or if they'd like to know more, then this forms part of basically my pipeline. So I print out loads and loads and loads of pages of these, and this is a PDF file on our team page as well. So I print out loads and loads of pages, and I explain at this stage how you profile somebody, to talk about their hot buttons, keep their contact details there, and then depending on how the conversation goes, they might need to go into your pipeline for a contact in a week or 2 months or 3 months, or however you're going to structure it. And then I explain to them that they need to get a file like a January to December file, and start to put those profiling sheets in there as people work through their pipeline. Okay, pages 18 to 23. Okay, in here then is quite often you'll see people saying, oh, have you got any tips of what to say? Or I'm just about to send someone some information. What's the best thing? What works really, really well? This is what works really, really well. And so there's different scripts here, different types of conversations to have. And so it just saves you trying to reinvent the wheel and trying to think of something off the cuff. So I would get a script together, because it's much easier to have a structure than trying to wing it, particularly in the early days when you truly are winging it because you don't really know all of the answers straight away. So this is super, super helpful. So that goes through that section 18 and 19 about making the calls and continuing to profile. And then on pages 22 and 23, this is the memory jogger. So this is the a really great resource for helping your new team member to start to populate their who do you know list. And so just talk about the memory jogger on this because it's really, really useful. It's brilliant, in fact. And then 30 and 31 is the next 7-day plan. And you need to be given as a bit of homework what the next 7 days needs to look like. So it's all contained within here. It's a very well thumbed copy, my Steps to Manager book, but this is mine and this is what I work towards and work through. Okay, so and then the final section then is activity. So based on what your team member has said they wanted to get out of the business, the time that they've got, what their dreams and goals are, etc., then you can help them to shape an activity plan. And it's based on what's going to be their route to market, how are they going to contact people, how are they going to tell them about the opportunity, how many people are they going to be talking to each day, etc., and what sort of avenues are they going to use to explore to contact and reach out to new people. So you need to work through this with the new team member based on what they like to do, what they're comfortable with, and also, like I said before, what their dreams are, their goals are for the business and the time that they've got. So the activity that I always go through, I'll run through the list on here and then you can cherry pick. So putting together their who do you know list. I always get team members to start to have done that before the first planning meeting, ideally. And I just show what my who do you know list looks like as well. Remembering Angie's ACE list, so thinking about people with those core essentials. Facebook. I'll go through and really explain the importance of Facebook as a business building tool. And I spend quite a bit of time on this. Because no matter what anybody's goals and dreams are for the business, Facebook is an incredible tool. And it's a tool, it's not the only vehicle, but if it's used properly, it can absolutely propel somebody's business. And if it's used badly, then it can have quite the opposite effect. So I really spend some time on Facebook and go explaining a couple of key activities that need to happen. The first is launching their business on Facebook and doing a business in a box selfie. And if anybody is unsure about what that needs to look like, then have a look on my profile pictures. It's about the fourth or fifth one back, and then use similar sort of text that goes alongside it as well. So once they've launched their business on Facebook, then it starts to build the story. And so then I just explain the importance of that and the importance of regular posts when you're doing anything to do with your forever business, really positive, really happy, sharing when you're being coached and trained to show what a supportive environment it is, sharing your successes, sharing what a difference to your lifestyle that the business is bringing, and just ensuring that you're creating something that people want to be part of. And it's incredibly powerful. And I also talk about some of the things that we need to avoid doing, like the horrible selling sites and pictures of bottles of products and discounting and things like that that we shouldn't be doing. I also talk about the 80-20 rule, and I talk about the 80-20 rule in respect of 80% of your posts to do with forever need to be about the business opportunity and 20% about products, because if not, then it looks like an Avon opportunity. And then I'll go on to explain how you download your Facebook friends and start to work through those as part of your Who Do You Know list. My next advice is something that I did, which was to text absolutely everybody in my phone with a similar text to what I used on my business in a box selfie on Facebook. What I've set up my own business, looking for people to work from home. I'm doing it to change my family's life, and I'd love to help you do the same. So a real kind of emotional message there about what I was doing the business for, and it generated a number of inquiries. And again, it's just launching your business to people. You're starting your story. So send a text, or if you usually phone people, ring them. Ring if it's going to be your best mates or somebody in your family. You want to give them a call and let them know, because it'd be a bit weird if you told them via text. But you need to know. You need to contact people based on however you normally would. And then you need to explain the importance of contacting 10 people a day consistently, and how important that is in terms of growing your business, and the importance of consistent activity and the compound effect. And that's from your Who Do You Know list. I always will advise people then of what that message needs to look like, the kind of content and structure, and that it needs to be really, really short and sweet and to the point. And I will also direct them moving forward to a brilliant video of Emma Cooper's on super sponsoring, and that is in the pin post on our team page. And basically that is like your apprenticeship in terms of how to contact people via Facebook and via message. And so and so I always will point people in that direction. Now I've got my hands on it. Use the products and fall in love with them. This is absolutely essential if you want to build a successful forever business. You need to be your own best customer. You need to be using the products, falling in love with them, and naturally starting to share them with others. I honestly, in a whole year, have not sold anything to anybody. I've recommended products based on my own personal experiences, and have sold a hell of a lot of clean nines, and that's because I've done it myself, my husband, my best friend, and we've all blogged our experience of it on Facebook, and I still continue to sell a number of them even now. In the early days, it was really a significant amount. Obviously, it quietens down after a while, but yeah. So it needs to be your personal experiences, and you're only going to get that from using the products yourself. And then I give some homework in terms of personal development. So listen to Eric Worre Go Pro, and I know for all of my frontline, I've bought that for them, so they should be listening to it. Read 79 network marketing tips, absolutely brilliant. Again, it's like your apprenticeship in a book. And also to invest in the compound effect to have in the car to listen to. And I'm aware that people might not have the money for all of this at the beginning. And so I have books and audios that people can borrow. You can also get them off YouTube and things like that. We then go on to plan out their business launch. And I always say to use the word business launch, not product launch, because people won't even know what you're talking about if you call it a product launch. So launch their business, and we get that planned, get the date in the diary. And I always recommend to do that at home. They tend to work best than doing them at a venue, in my experience. We talk about pup drops and how valuable they are, and how they've had a huge impact in my business. When I look at my customers, my regular gel drinking customers, they have all come from pup boxes. So it's really, really important to create your regular customer base using pups. And again, don't use the pup terminology on social media. You just call it a sample basket of luxury products or something like that. Look at any tabletop events that are happening in the local area. The dream board, that has to be part of the homework, is to get the dream board complete and give a date and say when you want it done by, or, well, not when you want it done by, when they should get it done by, and get them to send you a photograph. So again, you both know what you're working towards. And then the final thing that I always ask of any new team member is for them to make any recruits, any new team members that are welcomed into our team on our team page, and also the A-team page, to just make them feel really, really welcome. So to give them a nice welcoming message and be really supportive if you see them posting on the team pages, because it's really, really important. It can be quite an intimidating environment to come into a new business like this, and so to make people feel welcome is hugely important. And I know it was something that made me feel a lot more comfortable, is when people were being so sort of nice and friendly. So yeah. Hopefully that's helpful, and that will help you how to structure your first planning meeting, and that we can get this duplicating right down in every single level of our team, because ultimately this business is duplicatable, and we need to show that, and we need to make sure that the same messages are passed through. So in closing, thank you very much for listening. I hope this has helped you and helped to give some structure to how you plan your new team members. If you have any questions about any of what I've discussed this evening, then just drop me a message, and I'm more than happy to help. And I wish you all the very best with your forever business. Thank you.